Great, I guess I don't have the music yet. But hello, welcome. I'm Miss B, and I've got my friend and co-host Lee with us. We're
Hey.
still working out a couple of things. I'm hoping we have the music for next week, but to be fair, I didn't get back to them as soon as I had hoped because I don't know how to convert things into MP3. Anyway, welcome to Omnium-Gatherum. It's a kaleidoscope of discussion where we invite anyone and everyone to have an opinion, a feeling, and share stories. And I've got my very special guest today, Miss Caroline Tumblety. And those of you who know her, she's got her show, Navigating the Truth, and she's got a show with Madeline, which is, I forget,
Life in the Hologram.
Life in the Hologram, that's right. They are on Fridays, right?
Yeah, Life in the Hologram is, let's see if I can get this right, 7 until 9. And we have Michael Feely. Yeah, he should be really interesting. Quite a background he has, and I guess he's involved with David Icke with that television show that David Icke has. Anyway, that's nice. Friday night, 7 between 9, and after that I have an hour where I just run through that hour with whatever takes my fancy. So that would be 9 till
Amazing.
10. And
beautiful.
Thank you.
So
thank
from
you
7 till 10, you can have. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's
3 hours.
That's
yeah.
my phone.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle is texting us to say have a good show.
Aw.
So
That's
we'll
sweet.
put that on Do Not Disturb, excuse me. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah. So from 7 to 10, you get to hear Caroline and then also Madeline, and they are fantastic. And you can find them here on Revolution.radio on Studio A, right?
Studio A. Yeah, Friday night.
Yeah, all the cool kids. I'm just kidding. Everybody cool is on both stations.
Cool. Yeah.
Everybody's cool. Also, quick bumper in case I forget at the end of the show. Just for those of you who have not been here but are interested in some of the other shows that go on afterwards, the Cryptrick and Jonathan show is immediately after my show, and they're fantastic. I've done their show and I've done their shows separately. Cryptrick has So I've Been Thinking, which is on his YouTube, and Jonathan has his own show, and I'm trying to get them to come on sometime soon too, because Talib, I think you would have an absolute ball with Jonathan. And Rick and I have not finished talking about like 5 different things and an experience that he had, because originally we were talking about aliens and my alien abductions and stuff when I was talking to Rick. I would love to talk about. Yeah, I got to talk about that stuff. I've talked to them both about Chris Angel and the magic community and some of the crazy stuff that happened there, and so it's really fun. So if you want some cool, fun, like just otherworldly topics, those guys are fantastic. Jonathan also really likes to talk about good eating and good growing and stuff like that, and so he talks about like having your land growing vegetables and other things, which I think is fantastic and people need to learn more about. Which also brings me to a question.
Is he
homesteading?
Like
that's the phrase.
Yeah,
yes, homesteading.
It's so cool. Yeah.
I would love to have the ability to be a homesteader. That's my goal. And you know what? If I got to build a little tiny house village, I will absolutely do that. Personally, I'd really like to live in Ireland because it's so green and I keep getting advertisements for it. So I'm like, if I was going to homestead, it'd probably be in Ireland because I'm sure that the ground and the grass and stuff is much less contaminated than it is here in the United States.
Okay.
At least I would hope so. I would hope so anyway.
Okay.
Yes, Caroline's like, I don't know about that.
I'm still with Caroline on that one. Like,
yeah,
no, it's
listen, a girl can dream, okay? A girl can dream. Let me go live in my fairy fantasy land.
We can clean it up, though. We can.
Yeah, I think so.
We can. Yeah,
it's all self-replicating. That's what I've come to learn.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. That's true. Absolutely. Tune in. Yeah.
Yeah. So, also, go ahead.
Oh, no, you please, be. You're doing
so, Caroline, I was asking you, what is your opinion on the state of the world right now?
Oh my goodness. The
state of the world.
Well, like I can't allow myself to be too invested in it. Like my heart is with the people. It's always going to be with the people who are caught in the middle of conflict. I refuse to take a side. You take a side, you lose.
Fair.
So my thing is the people. It's the people.
Yeah.
You know,
Same.
that
Yeah.
can have me on my knees and crying just thinking about the people.
Ooh, girl, let me tell you how many times I've been on my knees crying the last couple weeks. I'm
I hear
very
ya.
loud and about it on my Twitter. So if anybody follows me on Twitter at Miss B the Cat, you know my opinions on some of the stuff going on, but mine is definitely for the people and the fact that I've had family and friends go fight in wars where they came back
Yeah.
less than themselves. And the stories and the horrors that they experienced were, in some cases, akin to that of stories I've heard of Vietnam vets and the things that they witnessed. And I'm just like, oh, great. And then I'm seeing all this stuff on Twitter, which has absolutely decimated my brain. I did not realize that the internet is inundated with death. Like until recently, I started deep diving and was like, wow, I've actually, you want to talk about healing and stuff. I realized as a child that I was exposed to a lot of really messed up stuff on the internet, and that my friends and I have been witnessing like snuff films basically since we were, children.
Yeah.
Just like casually on the internet, which I think is terrifying because I think of all my nieces and nephews and my goddaughters and my other friends' kids who are also having access to the internet at a much younger age than even I was. And I was fairly sheltered as a kid when it came to stuff. Like we didn't have a whole lot of space. I didn't really understand the internet and stuff as a kid. And I certainly didn't understand the effect of watching videos where things happen to people was gonna, like, it never occurred to me that was going to become kind of just how we communicate in the world. And especially in the situation like we have in the Congo and what's going on in Gaza and parts of Egypt, like I've witnessed some absolute horrors, even just on Skype with friends in different countries. And it's really crazy because Talib and I were talking the other night about how movies, when you're watching that stuff, your brain doesn't really know that it's not real. Yeah. And so you're watching people get shot and blown up and whatever because movies in Hollywood, right? You're watching people have intimate moments and you're watching people fight and, verbally and physically, and you're just seeing all these things, but you're also seeing, different kinds of like magic and occultism and all this stuff. And your brain literally just doesn't process that it's not real and that that's fake. And there is just some stuff I can't watch anymore because it's too real to me, because I'm seeing real war crimes, honestly, be broadcasted very casually on Twitter specifically, which I have to be careful of. I try not to get on Twitter too much. Just talking about it makes me very emotional because it's like, man,
well,
I have friends over there that, much like Venezuela, when, what was it, 2010, 2012? Maybe even 2013, when Venezuela was really falling apart first, like where it was firstly like there was a coup and then like the entire country was like trying to flee to safety. I had a friend in the magic community who lived out there, and he said that gas was so expensive, people were walking hundreds of miles to the grocery stores and other places. And then he was telling me about how the government was just blowing people's houses up and shooting people. And then I never heard from him again. I have no idea if that guy is still alive. I hope he is. I hope him and his family are safe somewhere. But like, he just disappeared one day. And that's what's happening in Gaza and in Egypt. I have friends that are just gone. It's just like, oh my goodness. Because I don't know if they're I don't know if they're in, the rubble. I don't know if they got out. I don't know if they're still trying to get out. I don't know if they've just disappeared, changed their names, abandoned all social media. Like, I have no idea what happened to those people. And I miss them, and I hope that they're safe. But
just to let you know, one of the things was that they cut off internet and access. And that's why, if you noticed on the news and things and social media, you don't see as many posted pictures and stuff as you did before.
Yeah, well, Snapchat has a lot of stuff. Snapchat has not been completely censored, and there is a lot of stuff coming out on Snapchat.
About not just censored, I'm talking about over there, they cut the internet off. Like, there is a large chunk. You're right. Areas, if I've been keeping up, and I like to do a broad understanding of all of the things. So I don't only watch the stuff that sort of goes along with my own perspective of the terrors and atrocities they commit, but I'm also listening to these people that think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not selling it to you like they're bad guys and they just stand on that.
Right.
And it's under the guise that this is a much needed action.
Yeah,
you know, and
definitely.
and if you go in there and check that out, you'll see that in the press reports, all this, you'll see that a lot of the complaints from the journalists is that they've been cutting off communication over there. So a lot of when the strikes are going down and the things they're doing, because before a lot of stuff got out, we were, it was all over the internet, like everywhere you look, there were and it wasn't like when they're doing this control thing, when they show you the same footage over and over and over again. This was like hundreds of clips from various people who had no real following, who gained a following from putting these things out. Right.
Yeah, I think that's kind of that's a weird double-edged sword, because it's like on one hand you're getting information out and you're sharing it, but also it's like at what cost? You're kind of exploiting the suffering of other people for clicks on the internet. Like that's really weird.
Well, it seems
because that's why I feel weird about sometimes too. I'm like, I try to share stuff I feel would be imperative knowledge to get out, and for ways for people to help, as opposed to just saying, look at these atrocities of these children that are not here now. Like, it's a very, I don't know, for me at least, emotionally and personally, it's a very dangerous dance to do sometimes, because I don't want people to follow me because I'm sharing political stuff and atrocities. I want people to follow me because I got a lot of cat memes and I'm an interesting person sometimes.
That's the whole catch, if you ask me. Like, it's exploitive, because at the end of the day, we're not doing anything with it.
Right.
And our ideal of doing something with it is liking it. And subconsciously, we're not even seeing the effect of liking something that's terrible.
Yeah, that's why I try not to like stuff.
Because people send these videos and we don't thumbs down when they're showing these horrors. We give them a thumbs up because we're like, go ahead.
Well, that's the only option you
thanks
have.
For sharing the message. But it has the opposite effect at the same time. Because when you go look at something that has a lot of likes to it, and it's a whole neighborhood that's rubble.
Yeah. Even on a smaller scale, actually, now that you say that, something I've been thinking about for years now is I had kind of a sorry about that. My friend from Fallon, Nevada, who I don't really talk to anymore, we've had a falling out. But when he and I had sort of like a high school relationship, like we were in high school when we met, his cousin and her boyfriend were going through a lot, and her boyfriend was like his best friend or something. And dude posted something sad on the internet and on Facebook, and I clicked like in solidarity to be like, hey man, I get it. And his girlfriend just like attacked me about, why would you like this? He's saying these horrible things about himself. He's so sad. Why would you like this? You're such a jerk. And I was like, Facebook gives you one option. It's like or don't respond, or excuse me, like or comment. And I said, hey man, I feel you. I hope you're doing okay. Like, I've had a very positive message that I left of like, hey, I see you. Like, I see you. And I want you to know you're not alone. And I'm sorry that you feel this way about yourself. I'm here if you need a friend. And she took that the whole wrong way because I gave him a thumbs up on the stupid Facebook post. And I'm like, that's the only thing you get on Facebook. We don't get thumbs down. You get an angry react now, or a sad react, or a care react, or a heart react. Like, that's it. There's no like thumbs down. There's no boo hiss. We need a boo hiss button. You know what I mean?
We used to have one, right? We used to have it.
Did we? I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they have likes and dislikes on like YouTube and
but they don't even count them anymore. It's like something kind of weird going on. Yeah.
Oh, there's some YouTube drama there with that. There was a lot of creators I follow who are the reason that the likes and stuff got disabled, and a lot of it was because people were like farming likes for really terrible videos where they were like they were basically committing crimes, and they were doing amoral things. And YouTube was supporting it. So a bunch of creators were like, no. Just spam dislike these videos because these people are terrible, or this is bots, or this is AI, or this person's a pedo or whatever. And it was just like, go spam dislike this person and get them moved out of the algorithm. And that's the only time I've seen the internet come in solidarity to like make a difference. The problem is that YouTube did not appreciate it at all, because they give a platform to terrible people that commit really awful crimes all the time. And they profit off the people that profit the most on likes and views. And so it doesn't really matter if they're committing crimes, as long as they're raking in the dollars. YouTube is like, hey, that's cool. Which is also why sharing stuff during war times is so conflicting to me, because studying about like the Holocaust and stuff in high school, for instance, middle school, high school, one of the things I noticed was there wasn't as much stuff when I was younger that was accessible to the stories of things that people went through. Like, for instance, in high school, we were forced to read Night by Elie Wiesel. And that book had me just messed up. Like, I cannot explain to you how much I hate talking about and learning about World War II, because the people around me just did not have, they were not as affected as I was. And seeing the things that I saw as a kid, those pictures and stuff, like I thought we went to Auschwitz, but I guess we went to some other terrible camp leftovers in, I think, Germany when I went to Europe. I thought it was Auschwitz, but it was not. We also went to the Anne Frank house, which felt really weird, but it felt weird that was like a tourist destination where people are excited to go to. Like, yeah, we're going to the Anne Frank house. And I'm like, this is a gross misuse of like the energy of people who suffered. Like, ever since I was a kid, I was like, this is weird. Like, why are people sharing these pictures? Why do we talk about it? Why do we sort of romanticize World War II? And I'm like, especially in movies and stuff. And like, now for me, I feel like we're witnessing all of this, and it's been happening my entire childhood, from, Iraq to, Iran to Afghanistan to Yemen to Syria to now Gaza and the Congo, and like the stuff going on with the Uyghurs in China. It's just like there's just a Holocaust happening in like every part of the world right now, and people are talking about it, but also people who are even going through some of the atrocities, those who thrive off of terrible things. I feel like people are so desensitized that they don't realize the effect that they're having by sharing things and acting crazy. And I don't know, it just feels really weird, because it's like, you want to talk about it, right? You want people to know that something terrible is going on and we need to do something about it. But at the same time, at least for me as an American, like, what am I supposed to do? I live in the middle of like nowhere right now. I don't have a lot of neighbors that agree with me that something should be done. A lot of them are very Christian, and so they feel like, well, it's a war with Israel and it's a religious thing, so like, let them do their thing. This is between the Jews and the Muslims. And it's like, dude, everybody out there is either Jewish or Muslim. Like, there's like, yes, that's a fact, and they're fighting each other, but like, there's all kinds of other stuff going on. There's all kinds of people that are Christians over there. There's people who don't believe in any of it over there. There's people who are just trying to mind their business and live their life. And yeah, I don't know as an American what I can do, but tweeting about it definitely does not make me feel heroic. I'll say that. Like, I like sharing stuff to try to get that information out, to kind of share those ideas with people, to make sure that other people are not thinking that this is fake. Like, I personally know people in that area of the world that are like, holy cow, this is awful, and everyone is affected. And I can't help but think, like, those who are feeling like this isn't real or it doesn't matter, like, what happens when it's us? Like, what are we gonna do when it's us? Because like, something's about to go down in the United States. Like, the whole planet's on fire right now. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I just don't
it
know
is. I get it. And
I mean,
like,
literally, the whole planet is on fire. If you go to Google and look at the fire map, you will see that it is fire all over the planet. So that's pretty accurate.
7th level of hell.
I wanted to go back to like when you had mentioned about movies, and when we watch them, how we're like, that is also true of dreams. Like, have you ever been in a dream, you're getting chased, and you waking up and your heart's pounding? Your body is running. It is running. Doesn't know the difference between the dream and what is real. And when we are watching things, we don't know the difference. Like, that is why our brains work. Like, it will take in the information, as you said. Like, we are witnessing mass murders, rapes, all kinds of things, and in real life, well, what we term real life, as well as an entrainment. So what are we doing here? Like, when I was younger, my dad had a thing about watching old black and white movies for the war, like documentary type.
Yeah.
For World War II. I mean, I don't know. It was his thing,
too.
you know. Yeah, dads do this stuff. And I used to.
I'm like, why are you watching all these war things? And he's like, oh,
yeah,
I don't know, tanks and planes and stuff.
I don't think he wanted to forget either. You know, I think there was something in him.
My dad specifically said this is something we cannot forget because we can't let it happen again. Mm-hmm.
And
I'm like,
what I was witnessing, I mean, it was a black and white, real time, like for then in the war. And what it was pits where they had a bulldozer and they were literally pushing bodies into the pits, naked bodies, and then they would pour lime over the top, and then they would pour another layer of bodies, like hundreds upon hundreds of people. And yeah, my little mind took that in. Yeah, my mind took that in, you know, as a young child. Like, I had grandfathers, great-grandfathers. One of my great-grandfather fought in World War I and World War II. And we were gypsy, like there were gypsies on the side of the family. And so what he did was the what we called in this country the rag and bone man. He was like, he had the horse and cart, and he would give balloons, and he would sell like maybe like cockles for the beach, anything. And people would give him their old sweaters and he would take it to the wool mill. So when he went to the war, he had his buggy with the ammunition in the back. That was his job. He went back and forth like on the front line with a buggy in World War II to load their cannons, whatever it was they were using, the machine guns. And then in World War II, he did the same thing. And then it was both grandfathers fought. They were Navy, they were Army. I had both on both sides. And they were not present like as human beings in my life. They were shells. They were I remember my grandmother would tell me not to go into the living room because my granda was there. And he died like at 56. I mean, he didn't even get to retire. So, I mean, these things have been going on for, I would say, like, we can just even go back 100 years. We've had 100 years of this. We have had 100 years of this. And the conditioning that has happened, I mean, I saw Russia invade Afghanistan. Like, that's what I watched as a teenager on the evening news was that, like, there's still war in there. Like, it's just different people, you know, like Americans, and the Russians leave, the Americans go in, the British go in, the French go in. Like, I mean,
it's like, hey man, can y'all not
really? Like, I mean, maybe they can play nice, maybe they can coexist. I mean, like, what the heck, you know? I mean,
I agree.
It's and it really is the generations that come up in these situations. Like, my mom was born during World War II. It does something to an individual.
Definitely.
You know, we were bombed. I mean, like Scotland, like Clydebank was like leveled. London was totally leveled. I mean, we were bombed regularly. The Germans flew over here and they dropped bombs. We were like, I wasn't, but I was not allowed to forget it.
Right.
You know, I was not allowed to forget it. And the fact that it is 2024 and this is what we are talking about.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Like, I did not grow up thinking I was going to live through another Holocaust.
No,
that's for sure.
Where's
I was like, oh, this happened
cars?
once. Let's never let it happen again. Yeah, where's my flying car?
Yeah,
where's my teleporter machine?
Yeah, right?
You can buy a flying car today.
Yeah, no, you can. Yeah.
Is it dangerous though?
I mean,
like, is it FDA approved?
It's safer than driving.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you know,
I do want to get like a pilot's license so I can learn to fly things.
They have
helicopter.
The initial ones required commercial pilot's license, but they have one now that they came out with that does not.
Who wants to donate to Miss B getting a flying car fund? And takers and backers, I'll make sure to give you a ride.
Or even if there's a manufacturer out there, they could sponsor you.
Well, I think it's really interesting because when you look at it from our perspective here in America, we really, our thing is 9/11, or.
Oh, I was there. Yeah.
I was going to say that. Yeah, Caroline was there.
I was there.
You were there.
Mm-hmm. I was living in New York. Yeah.
My family worked there. I was on my way there that morning.
Wow. And you didn't go? Did you go?
Huh? I was on. No, we didn't even make it in. It was great. So it worked out for us. But I was, my point is that, when you talk about entertainment, remember that, I even how we got into World War II was was again, entertainment. How we got involved in that here in America. America has been a propagation of propaganda and psychological warfare on its own people. And the reason that we're still at war is because we exist under maritime law. Maritime law is the war. Yeah. Law is law of war. That's the war. That's the law of war and the law of the sea. So we're still being dominated by the law of the sea, and you live on land.
I know.
And that's why all of your institutions, such as your banks and your government institutions, courtroom, all of them use water words. All of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Because they understand this, right? And when you look back at where was the birth of our real superheroes and comics and all this was during the war, because they needed young men to want to fight.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
So and the thing about the psychology is it's very interesting because, in order to watch a movie, this is a fact. I worked in film and television for almost 20 years. And on major things, by the way. And one of the things you have to do to watch a movie and enjoy it is you must suspend your disbelief. If you enter into a television show or a movie with disbelief, you can't enjoy it because they're acting.
Right? Oh yeah. You need to invest.
The production and the special effects and one-two punching, everything becomes very clear without disbelief. Right? So you suspend your disbelief. Now, the subconscious mind is the mind that is operating without your awareness. That's where all your programs are, right? So when you suspend your disbelief, this is why you can respond to a movie without believing it consciously. That's why you watch a horror movie, it scares you, but you enjoy the fear. Like, oh, that's awesome. Right. Because there's a split in your psyche that's happening they know of that you're unaware of. Which is subconscious has no idea that what's happening isn't happening. Because it exists in the realm of feelings.
Yeah.
Right? Why? What you say, when you feel what you say, you'll see a response in the world to it. Because the subconscious is the governance of the physical 3D world experiences you're having. Right?
Okay, so to shift a little bit on that subject, but away from war. So, do you feel like, using an example from my personal life that haunts me every day, so do you think that people, when they don't believe in themselves or they don't have any self-worth, that they continuously, unintentionally create a world where they aren't undeserving of anything that they desire the most?
Of course. That's why they put the movies, the stars, the celebrities, the false lifestyles in front of you on a constant 24-hour basis.
You got to find a way to get
change
certain people to
your own value of self-worth, to keep you looking outside of yourself for an answer that's already within you. But what I was
so
saying,
difficult to practice
that Caroline had brought up that was very interesting. If you don't mind, because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
She said because over there, she understands it from a different. When they say we won't forget, It's because they got bombed.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's people over there that remember that was there, that happened to them.
Japan.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're all secondhand knowledge. We're all secondhand knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
Who's coming to bomb us? Nobody's bombed us.
Right. That's something I think about too, is like, that's why I'm saying,
well, 9/11 was a...
No, 9/11
was
an attack. Bomb,
but it was an attack.
I don't deal in conspiracy theories. I don't believe in them.
Okay.
It's a fact that that Osama and them worked with the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fact when it happened. He was the only one. Him and his family was the only one in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Who was the only one in the sky?
What I'm talking about? There was the only one that, remember when 9/11 happened, no flights were allowed to fly.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. They were all grounded.
In the sky. It's documented. That's not a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I did not know that. I thought it was after the first. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's documented. They flew them. They was the only people in the sky. Right?
Interesting.
Okay. I was there. I know people that was there. I'll tell you for a fact that place imploded.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have a friend that was his great grandfather was a firefighter, and his uncle, I think, was also a firefighter who was there during the explosion, and he was putting out a nearby fire that they still weren't sure at the time. I'm sure they figured it out since, but this was, fucking freaking 10 years ago. But I remember him saying that his uncle was there, and he was like, jet fuel doesn't burn steel beams. Like, these were cut. These were cut by a welder. Like, somebody went in and knew exactly how to basically cut the Achilles heel of this building. And there was, like, the fire department was like, hey, man, this is suspicious. And they were like, hey, you can't talk about that.
They put plenty of charges on those buildings. They had been putting them on there for months.
The basement. There was people who had it in the basement. Yeah.
They did a test. They tried to blow it. They didn't really try to blow it up. They just wanted to see the reaction the first time.
Oh, man.
That second time, after that, okay, they began closing down floors.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They changed the security in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the companies that was up at the top was gone. They left.
I wondered, because there was not a lot of people that were in the building.
They took the stuff out. They took
thousands
stuff
of
out of the building. The building was surrounded by tanks before this ever happened.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
I remember the Loose Change. Was it Loose Change made a movie or a documentary after it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's gone. Yeah. Is he
him.
really? Wow.
Because
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, anybody who was there, who was involved or was around there will tell you, like, nah, that didn't happen that way. It was a lot of confusion, and everybody was scared shitless. Excuse my language. Everybody was terrified. And so, of course, stories got conflated, and the news was very busy pushing their narrative.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody knows that didn't happen that way. Buildings don't fall like that.
No.
Buildings hit skyscrapers in New York. Planes hit skyscrapers in New York more than you would think.
Right. There's tall buildings there.
They designed those buildings to withstand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right.
Plane crashes. That's within the building's design code.
I didn't know that either. More reasons not to move to New York.
Well, I mean, if you want to live in New York, I say go there if you want to test yourself as a person and as an artist, and you want to live day by day, because New York, you're going to be in it every day, meaning every day you could walk out that door and experience it. There is no day that New York isn't happening.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's on all the time. Yeah.
I see a lot of reasons that it's I would not have a good.
What? You froze there, Zoe.
We lost you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, I can still hear you. Okay, I was like, I can still hear you guys, but
I missed what you said there.
Yeah, My internet is struggling a little bit, but otherwise, can you see me now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can see you.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Awesome. As long as you can hear me, that's good. If you can't see me for a minute, I don't know. The video, it's okay. But
yeah.
but about like some of the stuff with going back to it all, like we haven't really been bombed here. Like there have been bombs that happened within the country, right? Like the Boston
Oklahoma
Marathon and stuff like that. Yeah, Oklahoma, stuff in Florida, because Florida is like the Australia of the United States. There was some kind of a small bomb, something or other, that happened in 2020 in like San Antonio, I think, right before I moved there. So it's like we get bombed within our country by people within the country sometimes, I guess, but it's nothing compared to having like bombs just
snow
be
flying over.
Freaking, sorry.
Yeah. No.
It's nothing like having stuff be dropped on you while you're minding your business, It's nothing like what's happened to Syria. And I mean, I'm grateful for that and I'm not complaining.
It shouldn't be happening.
I would like it to just not happen anywhere. Yeah, I was like, I would prefer it just never happen to anybody. But yeah, like I have a friend named Mo. I call him Mo. His name's Mohammed. But he's in Egypt, and we became friends on a pen pal website like a long time ago. And one of the first times we were talking was around the time that Egypt was having that big, I don't know if you want to call it a war necessarily, but there was that big violent event between Christians and Muslims, but like realistically they were protecting each other, and the government is what was like attacking people. And so Mo and I were like we were on Skype, and he was video chatting me, and all of a sudden gunshots go off and we saw a guy get shot behind him, and he was like, oh my God, I'll call you back. And then he hung up and I didn't hear from him for a few days. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope you're okay. Like, please let me know that you're okay. And when he did finally get back to me, it was so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But
like that's the thing. Like people know people in these places, so there is confirmation for what is happening. And of course we're not going to get it on the mainstream. We're only going to get what they want you to see, or to be traumatized with, or like full of fear.
Yeah, definitely.
See, like this whole idea as well, like that that we are somehow causing this by how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's I'm like, I don't know. I think it's a psychological operation. I think that's what's been going on for
absolutely.
I think that's what's going on. And definitely. I think that this whole idea that we're somehow responsible for it is like that somehow we don't love ourselves enough or care about ourselves enough. That is a new age thing. And I am not going to wear that cloak.
Yeah, I'm not going to take the blame for everyone else being less than
and also
genuine.
I don't really think that's true. I just don't think it's true. Like how many people do you talk to that are just like, they're oozing compassion and love, and they care very deeply for what is happening to other people and the helplessness that we feel? Like
a lot, honestly.
A lot of people, right? A lot of people. Like everybody I talk to, everybody I talk to is equally concerned and equally sending prayers, love, like whatever it is that we can do in our humble opinions, because we're not there. You know what I mean? It's just like, let's change this. Let's change this.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's just flip this. Let's just flip it on its head. It can be done.
I think so too.
Done. Yeah, it can be done. Like I was talking to a friend, and it's no like off subject. Somehow it all kind of ties in. I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about how much aid this country, and I'm talking about just the UK, have given, like, because what we get bombarded with is starving children.
Yeah.
Right? And we have
I've
basically
noticed a lot of British commercials are like save the children, and it's like
save the children.
Okay, so where's all my money going?
And we have been doing this. We have been doing this for well on 60 years. And the thing is, we would have these live aids, these big concerts where they would all get together and they would have all these, and it was all to feed the starving people, right? Now, one of the organizers for Live Aid was Bob Geldof, Irish dude, and he was the lead singer of the Boomtown Rats, and he had a hit song that was called "I Don't Like Mondays." Now, I remember dancing to that. I remember being at a nightclub. I remember dancing to it. You know, it took me maybe 20 years to figure out what that song was about, and it was about murder. It was about a girl in school.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and she shot other people in the school. I don't like Mondays, and that was what she said before she did it. Now think about that. We are dancing. We are celebrating. He is the head. He's heading up Live Aid. Like these things, you can't make this stuff up. Like
it reminds me of that song "Pumped Up Kicks" by was it MGMT or whatever. When I found out that was about Columbine, man, I started swinging on people. I was like, "How dare you!" Like that was my community, sort of. Yeah, like that was something that affected me as a child, and it's like affected my entire run in school. Like that whole Columbine thing, which apparently is also probably half psyop with the people that talk about it now, the families of the deceased that turned out not to be as genuine as they said. But the event itself was absolutely atrocious, and we had the Aurora Theater shooting, which really affected people who were at Columbine, who now had children who were at that theater. Oh, gives me goosebumps. I'm so mad. But yeah, Pumped Up Kicks. It's such a big, catchy, fun song, and it's like, but do you know what that's about? Like he's literally talking about children running for their lives. Like that's so sick. It like gives me like icky goosebumps. Like my heart hurts thinking about stuff like that. When you make these happy, upbeat songs about atrocities, it's like,
it's the upbeat, and we're singing along, and like what is it? Every breath
you take. I love that creepy, terrible song in the most awful way. Like
it's about a stalker. It's about his ex-wife stalking them, and it's played at weddings for them to waltz together.
It was actually written about a girl he found at the grocery store that he was like in love with. She was like 16.
Oh yeah. He's an ugh. Well, he was.
I used to think it was such a cute song because I thought he was just like creeping on this girl. But then
school teacher. He was a history school teacher. Yeah. Yeah. And Michael Jackson. What was it? What was the song? I mean, the music stands for itself, but some of these songs that are just kind of put in there. There was one. What was it? What was the song? And it's about a girl like that is murdered in her apartment.
Oh, there's a few
Michael Jackson song. I can't remember. It'll come back to me. But yeah, there's a lot of them. And it's the same idea as watching a movie and relaxing yourself and taking it in and splitting. The same thing is happening with some of these songs and the music. We are dancing. We're involved. We're singing along. I mean, I don't know how many nightclubs I was in, and I danced to these songs when I was younger. And
a great musician who does a song kind of like that makes you not want to sing to it, but rather to listen to it because it feels like an important life lesson. Aaron Lacombe and his song "Two Shovels and Some Lime."
Was that the man you had on last week?
Yes, it was. That was my dear friend. Aww. Yeah, I want to give him an extra shout out. But yeah, that was something he and I have talked about. Is like, if you're gonna write stories about real life, or heartbreak, or real life and heartbreak, don't do it in a way that makes people feel good about singing about how terrible those things are. Especially if you happen to be the person like causing the harm. It's not a. What did he say? It's not in good faith to make songs like that to like be Nancy Boppy to. And he has such a delivery of like, hey, this is something that really happens. Like this is kind of a real story that, takes on, well, all of his stuff is sort of based off life experiences, but nothing specific that I know of that is negative. But a lot of the stuff he says is their stories. He's like he's a bard, a real life bard. Yeah. And I think a lot of musicians want to be a bard, but they fall into that mathematical algorithm of hypnosis and mind control that the music industry produces right now. And it's a bummer because I'm sure some of them could do a really cool, lots of things, but constantly having these big bops with like low frequency energy that they emit to kind of, I don't know, twist the understanding or the perception of like the information they're being given. It just, I feel like music is helping desensitize us to crazy bad stuff. Well, I don't think that's fun.
That's a big thing in the movie, right? Is the music score. You know, it's going to dictate how you feel. You know, like, yeah.
Well, you know, you can easily conduct a test to see how important sound and frequency is to image by merely taking a program with a loud action sequence happening and muting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never thought to do that before. I'm going to do that the next time I watch a movie.
You know, like, you tense up. Like, I have seen me tense up watching movies and forgetting to breathe, like, because it's like a thriller or something. And then
my mom and I have been watching the Chicago Fire, Chicago PD.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she does that too. I check on her. You good? You good?
It's because it's a psychological. This is what they know that we don't know, right? And I think this is how they have gotten the world in the state that it's in.
Right.
Because I am a firm believer that you are creating reality. You are a fragment of the fractal hologram, which means you contain the whole, right? And they know that you are a frequency energy driven being having a physical experience, because that physical experience is coming from your interpretation of frequency. Meaning nobody's actually physically here. The physical world doesn't actually exist. It's not there. It's being interpreted by consciousness, and we've all agreed this is what it is, right? And what I'm finding with the, especially with the music and stuff. Remember, the CIA back in the 50s was like, they weaponized music.
Oh yeah,
gave the music industry to the mafia. To run.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that either.
Record labels, So
I've been right this whole time.
Right? And they couldn't control the message they wanted to give. What did they do? They killed them.
Oh yeah.
Right? And why did they kill them? Because they owned the rights to all their music.
Made a fortune of them once they went down on the plane. Yeah.
So think about it. Look at all the artists today that they get to superstardom real quick, and then they die. Who owns the rights?
Right.
And now their catalog is worth more when they're dead than they're alive. These companies and individuals in these investment groups that support music, because they're the ones that's funding it, they take out insurance policies on these artists. And don't think they go to whack them to take the insurance money. That's a simple way out. No, they can actually borrow on the insurance, policy. They can take money out of their life insurance before they're ever dead.
Oh yeah, it's disgusting.
So like their whole purpose is to drive low frequency. Remember, they got us at 440. But it should have been like at 432, the hertz in which our standard tuning is. It's a disruptive tuning.
Yeah.
Right? So every instrument artist out there, notice, if you play classical, you don't tune in 440. You tune in 432. Right?
How do you tune? How do you tune into that?
Well, how do you tune into? Well, that's just the resonant hertz of the frequency of the vibration of the string, and then from there you tune it to say A or B or C.
Okay, right? So I need to go buy a guitar tuner.
Right? Yeah, buy a guitar tuner, and you're gonna see it says the tuning is, it'll say 440. You can change that tuning to say 432, you can change it. When you change it down, when you tune to an A, you're going to notice it's tuned a little different.
Mm-hmm.
A little different. Sounds a little different. And when you play chords, they're going to feel a little bit more relaxing.
I was wondering, because I was trying to play my grandpa's guitar for a little bit for practice today, because I had to move my guitar lesson to a different day, because it stressed me out too much to do it before the show. But that was something I was thinking about, was like, the guitar just sounds sad. And like, my grandpa wouldn't have a sad guitar. Why does my guitar sound sad? And it's just because it sounds a little bit too like blah, as opposed to like la la. And I didn't know how to explain it, but that makes sense because my other guitar was tuned to 432, I think, because it had a much lighter sound. It made me feel gentle playing it.
Yeah.
You know, and so like they know these frequency tricks. They know this. Mm-hmm. So they embedded in the music. They gave us the 808 kick, which is a very low, disruptive, fear-inducing frequency. Right?
I did not know that.
And remember, they don't say things by accident. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to the dark side.
So 808 is when it goes back the same way as it does forward.
What is it? Palindrome?
Palindrome, yeah, the palindrome number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's in a lot of hip hop music. It's crazy in EDM music.
I was about to say the EDM community uses a lot, and I did not enjoy being in the EDM community. Some of the people were really cool, but I had to take. I have this bag that someone gave me years ago. My friend Kevin and his wife at the time. They gave me this bag that was made by an Indigenous woman in Canada. And it was like a hand-sewn bag, and it has gold lace on it. It's black, and it has mirrors all over it, little tiny round mirrors. Every time I have that bag somewhere in a crowd or around certain music, I feel content because I feel invisible. Nothing can find me. But oh my goodness, when I don't have it and I go out to an event, I am so anxious. I cannot be around those environments. I can't be around those energies. I get very nervous, very agitated, very just uncomfortable in my own skin. And that would make sense because the music, it does something to my heart. It makes me feel like something. I feel almost like there's a huge target on my chest in my spirit that says, hey, I'm vulnerable, come get me. And it's like, I don't like that at all. I made a joke about it writing in one of my books, but like it's a fantasy book, but like that makes sense. You can easily freak people out. You can hypnotize them with music.
Well, color is another one.
You're always hypnotizing yourself anyway. When you drive, if you enter into a trance state, like you ever notice you're driving in your car? If you notice, you're not consciously driving where you're going half the time. You're listening to a song, you're thinking about something you got to do. Your mind is 10 other places. And you never question if you're the one that's driving.
You know, I'll go a wee bit further with that one. When you're driving like a dark country road and you're a million miles away and all of a sudden you get the instinct to slow down. Yeah. And you slow down. And what comes across the street? A deer. And then another one because they're always in pairs. You know, so who is driving the car?
You know, it's because you're in a hypnotic state, you know.
Your superconscious is always there. Yeah,
it's always there. Because if a program's running, you're not aware of it. Right?
Well, you can become aware of it.
Once you become aware of it, then it stops running the way it was running.
And you can change it.
Right? Now it's the program is starting to be rewritten or let go of. And if you don't put something in its place, then a similar program will just take its place because that's how psychology works.
Yeah.
So it has to be there.
And a lot of things are like people refer to them like I refer to it as like a link, like something that will grab my attention and it's like a link. It's a link right into another program. And I've become aware of that, like links. Some people will call them target. We're
coming up on the end of the first hour already. Okay, let's put a pin in that for just a second. We'll pin that to the corkboard. We'll be back right after these messages from the station sponsors.
Cool.